It's really going to be interesting. They better try to get the right verdict. That's all I can say, because this country is subject to explode.
As Derek Chauvin, my defense is this is a big old man. I had my knee on his neck and I was just trying to wait until he calmed down so that we could handle him. I figured if we left the knee on there long enough, he would just be so exhausted, we could just pick him up and put him in the car and not have any problem. That's the only thing I was trying to do. That's the only thing I was thinking about. It never occurred to me that he had drugs in his system. It never occurred to me that he had COVID. It never occurred to me that he had any other underlying health conditions. All I was trying to do was wear him out. And I'm sticking with that. I want our analysis to be not difficult, and to be real, but to be informative. Do you think Derek Chauvin should testify?
Well, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't, because I can't see where he could say anything that would help his situation. I wouldn't. Because number one, I would not want to be cross-examined either. Because that camera is not lying. That camera with his knee on George Floyd's neck is not lying. So if I were him, I wouldn't.
There's this attorney, his name is Robert Ruler, and he's out of Scottsdale. And that was one of those YouTube videos. He was talking about the delays in the trial, the three things. They decided there was going to be no delay. They weren't going to hold a trial up for anything. And they weren't going to change the venue because, the defense was arguing that they need to change the venue because the family was awarded $27 million. This is such a big case that it don't matter where you move it to. Everybody already knows about the award.
Mm-hmm.
They want to admit that one prior arrest for George Floyd, the one for May 2019, where they say if you look at that video, because that's recorded, that you see similar behavior then. And I think that's the one where they try to say he had the drugs in his mouth and he tried to swallow them. And that's where you see that on the video. So they're going to admit parts of that arrest video.
I watched the proceedings about 3 or 4 days, all the pretrial stuff they were doing. I think she was a Dr. Sarah Vinson, that she was testifying about, when they were talking about Floyd didn't want to get into the police car.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess she's like a psychiatrist or something, because she testified as to what get in the police car, that he suffered from anxiety and claustrophobia. And he kept telling them when they were forcing him in the car that he didn't want to get in the back seat. So, and supposedly that was the reason. They finally got enough jurors. Yeah. The jury makeup is 9 women and 6 men.
When I listen to this guy, what I really like about him, and I can't figure out if he's for the prosecution or defense, which is really good, because that means he's just reporting the facts.
What was his name?
Robert Ruler. The juror that I was most interested in was juror number 2, but it sounded like a young white woman. They were interviewing her, asking her the same old questions, and she was just not bending in saying that she was sure that she could not be impartial because I saw the video and it's just as plain as day. When you say be impartial or you introduce evidence that'll change me from what I saw, I know what I saw. And so, no, even the prosecution and the defense were working hard to try to get her as a juror, and even the judge. And the judge, his name is Peter Cahill. He was even trying to ask her, well, but if you think that you could put aside your views and your thoughts on guilt, and you could just listen to the evidence and maybe come to a decision based on just the evidence presented in the case. And she's like, I know what I saw. I thought she was interesting. They had to excuse her because she was like, nope, I saw what I saw, and I don't care what evidence you show, I saw what I saw. And bottom line, that if you really think about it, that's it. You can present all kinds. You can show George Floyd doing monkey flips. It doesn't change the fact of what happened. You can show him with a whole bottle of fentanyl or whatever they saying it was he had, dumping it into his mouth. That still doesn't change the facts. That was what he was talking about too, that they were going to try to say was what Derek Chauvin did, was it police policy? Was it police procedure? Was it in the manual? And they go to, was it part of police training? So they're going to try to get all technical on it. Whatever it is, my thing is, what was his end game for doing that? Because there's got to be an end game, because he can't stay there for the rest of his life with his knee on George Floyd's neck. What was he intending to do? They hadn't called for backup, so what was the intention?
The judge, he actually wanted 3 alternates to it made, because otherwise it would be 12.
You know, and that's got to be hard to be the alternate. Know what you think or say may never count, but you got to pay attention because it might.
And normally they have 2 alternates, but this judge wanted 3 just in case something happened to one of the 2.
The other thing that this Robert Ruler was talking about was one of the pre-trial motions. That's what they call it. A pre-trial motion regarding the lady, Miss Hanson, Genevieve Hanson. She has medical training. She was on site, and they want her testimony to be specific. She can say what she saw. She can say her training. She can say that he was in distress. She can say that she wanted to start some kind of intervention. And that's what she's allowed to say. What she cannot say is that should she have been given the opportunity for that intervention, that she could have saved George Floyd. She's not allowed to say that.
Probably because she doesn't know if she could have saved him or not. I can see that.
Yeah,
I think she could have saved him.
She can't say that intervention would have saved him, but she can testify to it. So that was one of the pretrial motions, to be very specific on what testimony is allowed. One of the things they talked about too was second-degree murder and third-degree murder, and the difference, and pretty much they're the same, but second-degree murder can get a higher punishment, I guess you could say. There were some precedents where some officer was given third-degree murder, and I guess the judge has the levity to give them a lesser sentence if it's third degree as opposed to second. But I think they threw out the third degree, so they're just going to go for second-degree murder.
No, they added the third degree.
They did add it?
Yeah, they added third degree.
Okay.
And it's it's manslaughter, second degree murder, and third degree. And they added third degree about a week ago.
So they wanted to give the jury some degrees, because no matter what, he's guilty, and he's got to be found guilty of something, which, is it going to be manslaughter, second degree, or third degree?
It'll be manslaughter.
I
bet you it'll be manslaughter.
They were talking about too, usually if the person gets off on something like that, there's a civil lawsuit to follow, which is why his wife hopped up right away and wanted a divorce. I thought she wanted a divorce because she didn't want to have anything to do with the case, but her filing for a divorce and being awarded most of the family assets, the judge was like, wait a minute, y'all trying to protect the assets. So they wouldn't grant the divorce because it was fishy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that would have been smart though. Because they know that civil trial is coming, because that's what happens. The civil trial is coming. OJ was too stupid to know, but the civil trial. that man ain't never impressed me as more than a 2-watt bulb, but that's okay. Really?
Yeah. Oh, the only thing I thought about OJ is that he's just downright stupid.
That's it.
Just downright. But now he may have been pretty smart when it came to his money, because he did not end up broke.
Sister Cleo, we digressed. Let's just get back to our subject. We are talking about the trial of Derek Chauvin. So one of the terms, and that's what I was trying to find, some of the terms that they talk about too, they call it motions in limine. Motions in limine It's like those are the rules for that they set for the trial.
Hmm. And that's why I would testify, because if I was on the defense, I would say, "Well, you won't." I wouldn't.
The part you guys miss is while I got my knee on his neck, I can still feel him bucking and jumping, and I can still feel the strength in him. And I'm afraid to let him up because I ain't no telling what he'll do if he get up.
But he was surrounded by police. It was like his fellow policemen were all standing around.
Did you see these guys? These guys are new, green. They ain't know what was going on. They just standing there looking wide-eyed.
Well, they should have known. That's the
Yeah.
way I feel. Like they should have known. I mean, you got your knee on somebody's neck, bearing down as hard as you can for almost 9 minutes. Now you need to know that that has cut his breath off. Matter of fact, his breath was cut off way before the 8 minutes and 46 seconds was up. You have to know that. And anyway, tell the man, get off his neck. There was some kind of oriental top there, and 2 or 3 white cops, and one man on the ground. Now you need to tell me that you can't handle that man. Then you don't need to be on the force. You don't need to be on the force.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate and try to figure out without making up excuses after the fact for what I did. But and I'm saying, as I'm speaking as Derek Chauvin, I'm trying to, because in my heart to kill somebody. So I wasn't trying to kill him. Like I said, all I was trying to do was wait till he was subdued and calm and quit fighting. But he was fighting the whole time. And I was really getting tired. That's why I had to shift my position and put my hand in my pocket, because I was just really getting tired.
Well, all I can say is Floyd kept begging, begging, let me up. I can't breathe. Let me up. And I think, it's just like what in your training, something that would let you know how long you can cut off a person's breath before they die.
And that's what's going to come up in testimony. Was the hold or the move or whatever you call the knee on the neck, was that legal? That's going to be part of the trial testimony to determine if what he was doing was that per his training. Was it legal? Because one of the things they were saying is they may have changed the training manual since this happened. Because and the example was every time, like you'll go down the street and all of a sudden there's a crosswalk. Well, that crosswalk is there because somebody got hit and either killed or, maimed. But that's when they put the crosswalk in. That's when they do something. They put seatbelts on cars after so many people went through windshields. It's like they do things because something happened. So that's what they're saying. Did they change the Minneapolis training manual and take that out because they see that it caused the death of a person and cost the city $57 million? Are they allowed to say, well, the training manual was changed? Are they allowed to go back to the previous manual and use that? And if it is in the training manual that he was doing a legal hold, then I think they're going to try to find him not responsible for the death because he was doing per policy.
If that's the case, but I can't, because to me that's murder. And I just can't see where in their training manual where you're on top of the
perpetrator.
You have 3 or 4 officers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you have 3 or 4 cops around you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need for you to kill this person. And if it's in the training manual, it needs to be out. It needs to be out.
Now it's illegal to ride around without a seatbelt. So when stuff starts to happen, we always come up with something new. So that's why I'm thinking it may have been in the manual, because that came up as far as pretrial and what to throw out. Was that illegal? So anytime you commit a crime, you go to jail, you get a trial, and you get judged by a jury of your peers. George Floyd was accused of passing a fake $20 bill. He should have gone to jail and been given a trial if that's the case, or been given a fine. And when they asked him if he tried to pass a fake $20 bill, he said, yeah. He didn't say, no, I didn't do it, or they lying on me, or none of that. He said, yeah. So my thing is, when he said that, I didn't understand if he was saying they said I did or I know I did, but he said, yeah. So he's not denying that he did anything wrong. He's not running. He's not fighting. Only thing he's trying to do is to not get in that car.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's what takes over everything. They see his size.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're dealing with him based on his size, not based on what he's saying, not based on what he's doing. Because again, if they thought about it and if they watched the video, you don't see him fighting.
I haven't seen the video where he was fighting, actually.
He wasn't. Huh? Mm-hmm. He was just a big baby.
And didn't Chauvin know him?
They worked at the same club, but nobody can say for sure they knew each other. But let me say this too. If I'm passing a fake $20 bill, I'm going to get in my car and I'm out. The guy was parked right here. That's what they're going to be saying. Or the lady was parked right here. She gone now. I'm not sitting there. So that's why I have questioned, did he really realize he passed the fake bill? Did he, was he sitting there talking about, well, they said and where they come, what was going on? He wasn't in fear of doing something wrong.
You don't kill him.
You don't die for a fake $20 bill.
You don't.
Yes.
You really don't. They just trying to pick and pick and pick and pick and see how many points can they get to keep this man from doing life. That's what I want to know. What the hell are you going to say? It's right there on camera. Your knee on the man's neck. Unnecessarily. I don't care if he had 1 million counterfeit dollars. It didn't require that. And there was enough cops around there. They could have even maced him. They could have maced him. They didn't do that. They stood around and watched this man kill him. Ain't no other way to put it.
Knowing our white is right philosophy, what is justice to you?
The maximum time. And I don't really believe in the death penalty. And he sat there and he looked at his audience. He just looked at his audience like he was glad he had an audience. That's what I would want to see. The maximum length of time. He needs to be life in prison. That's what he needs to do. With no parole. You just stand there. They need to do time. Not as much as Chauvin, but they need to do some time, and they need to be off of the police force. That's what they definitely need to be off. Because I know what's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen.
Cleo and Maddie invite you to join us as we talk about the trial of the century, Derek Chauvin. Don't get it twisted. It's not the George Floyd trial. It's Derek Chauvin. And we want you to join us. Hit the subscribe button so you know when we put in our daily updates. Hit the like button and let us know what you think. And on Saturday, join us so we can all talk about it and see what's going on, how we feel, and where we think this is going. They need to change the venue because of the $27 million award. That they need to change the venue because of that they need to change the venue because the family was awarded $27 million.